8 p.m. press conference. But in the meantime, you have a small town, and you had hundreds of people at this church service. We know that the church said there's no connection to this individual for them, but there had to be some reason. Will we ever find out? That's yet to be determined. But witnesses were able to escape. They talked about those moments. You just heard from the individual with shrapnel there on his hand. He was hit, but certainly not badly. So that was good and able to get his children, his wife out of there. And we know it was
unbelievable. And he single-handedly, if he had lost this game, I truly felt like we would have walked in here and gone Maxx Crosby blew up Ben Johnson's game plan completely. How many drives, how many plays, and because Maxx Crosby ends up in the backfield, of course, the capabilities off the spot. We saw some air throws one. Or, of course, the Big Ten pass goes up in the air. He intercepts it, almost had another one on that touchdown drive. Like, you were seeing a player today that's playing out of his mind. I think that's another reason that as a Bears fan today, I understand the struggles you went through. As Chris said, a win is a win, right? You find a way to get a but this truly felt like you overcame all the mistakes you made and a legacy point on the other side to find a way to get this win. You got to
He's one of the league's top pass rusher. I mean, relentless motor. And he's fast, too.
I mean, not just fast, but I mean, you talk about the athleticism to not only tip a pass in the air and corral it, come down with the interception. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that brings back, if you're a Bears fan, you know the Khalil Mack that opened up his tenure with the Bears against the Packers, where he was a single man, just a wrecking ball. And Ben Johnson said it on Wednesday, he wrecks games. And he wrecks games because he's so athletic, but also he's got the strength, he's got the football IQ, he knows exactly what to do now to fill so many different gaps. But I mean, in this specific instance, you talked about it. This was his 81-point game. This was a player showing off how good he was on a massive stage, where the Raiders needed this team just as much as the Bears did too. They started the year with a win, then they dropped 2 in a row. They need to get back on track. But this was a player that stepped into the brightest lights, lived up to the billing just like Jeanty did.
Jim, for you as a quarterback, how terrifying is it to face someone like Maxx Crosby?
Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, the tackle issues, clearly Mad Max was causing a lot of havoc. Obviously, he had the bat down for the interception. Still, I thought Archuleta did a good job breaking it down. I don't know where Caleb was going with that football on that particular play. Either way, it could have ended up in an interception. But they ran some games early. The Bears elected to swap out their tackles. And this is where I give really Ben Johnson a lot of credit, because earlier in the week, he had criticized Braxton Jones, saying, hey, we need better tackle play. Already Darnell Wright is out, so Benedict starts at the right tackle spot. They swap him out early with Ozzie Trapillo. And then, of course, when Braxton Jones started to falter against Malcolm Kuntz, he makes the change right away and puts Benedict over there at the left tackle. I thought it did. They both of them performed better after that. Like I said, their 2 biggest drives of the game were in the fourth quarter, where it really mattered the most. But clearly, Mad Maxx Crosby, he is an elite player. Those players were thrown into the fire, both Benedict and Ozzie Trapillo. And I thought for the most part, they held their own, and it was better, even against an all-pro player like Mad Maxx Crosby.
Yeah, they are trial by fire, as we say here. We saw Braxton Jones with Benjamin. Your thoughts on how Trapillo and Theo performed today?
Listen, I think you just hit the nail on the trial by fire. You got Maxx Crosby as your matchup on the other side. There were a couple of times where I thought Ozzie did well in that moment. I thought that there were a couple times he stood Maxx Crosby up. There's also those same amount of times where Maxx kind of taps you on the top of the head as he goes right past you, trying to force Caleb Williams off the spot. Here's the thing, though. It's about, we've seen Maxx Crosby do that to the best of the best, right and or left tackles in the NFL. It's why he's that good to me. I think that those are the moments where, hey, this is your first time learning. This is your first time being able to go out there and see what a real NFL pass rush looks like. Now we got the bye week here. You get to take that experience, take it into practice, understand where you need to get better, and then you've got an opportunity possibly, if the Braxton Jones benching does stay, to take that into this Washington game.
Chris, are you shocked that Braxton got benched, or was it time?
I mean, I'm not really shocked that there is any movement at all in the offensive line. Honestly, I'm kind of expecting something to happen. We talked about Ben Johnson's going up, especially way back, I think right before the season began, we talked about, hey, is Braxton going to keep his spot at left tackle? And he said, hey, everything's up for debate. Everything's up. It's all
someone will play left tackle week one.
That's true. Somebody did play left tackle, but he said when we get to the bye, we're going to start to reevaluate everything. We're going to reevaluate a lot of the things, and we're going to see if guys aren't playing winning football. We're going to see if we can get someone in there that does. And I think in this specific instance, this was the start of that process going into that to the changes part. They've been evaluating the first 3 weeks of the season, going into week 4 now. There was play that they thought wasn't winning football, so they got someone else in there. They got Bennett in there, who was competing for the left tackle job, rose up through training camp. I think it was really impressive how he did that, considering where he was last year at getting hurt. But also Ozzie Trullo coming in there for first NFL game, first snaps, being asked to
First time being active.
being asked to block Maxx Crosby. Like, that's such a tough assignment. Obviously, you can get into the nitty-gritty and you can say, hey, he could improve this and there, but I think he did well, especially because they had a chance to win the game with the offensive side of the ball, and they drove down the field, just like Jim was pointing out, with that 12-play drive to win the game. That was exactly what you're looking for. That's what Ben Johnson was brought in to do. That's coaching right there. Dan Rochar, I think you got to tip your hat to that guy. That's a guy that when you talk to him, he sees the positives, but he also knows exactly what to work on. Last time we talked to him, that's exactly what he preached, and we're seeing it in real time now.
Theo Benedict was someone that Ben Johnson had a lot of high praises for. They said someone that they trusted and really praised his work ethic. Want to talk about Caleb Williams, because in the first half, man, he looked uncomfortable to me.
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, again, Maxx Crosby, right? Forced fumble, interception, trying to get yourself going. The few times that we saw, the offense start to move in the right direction, I thought it was, hey, there's a lack of penalties there. Hey, you don't have offenses going backwards. You still weren't really ever able to establish that run game in the way that you want to, but I truly thought that when you started to see Caleb look a little bit more comfortable, it was when the penalties weren't popping up. Again, every game that there's a struggle, we're going to have this same penalty conversation. The Bears continue to shoot themselves in the foot, and I thought that was the biggest problem that they dealt with early on. And then on top of that, you compound it with, now you're in a 2nd and 15 or a 3rd and 15, and Maxx Crosby standing on the other side, he gets to do basically whatever he wants because he knows you're throwing this football. I can pin my ears back and try to get to you. So I think those are the moments that still need to be cleaned up. This was not a perfect game, but you found a way in the second half by swapping out personnel, if you will, or even changing the scheme or changing the game plan. I thought really to not neutralize Maxx Crosby, but kind of, I guess the better word is contain some of that aggression that you saw from him. And it allowed Caleb to be a little bit more comfortable in the pocket and move down the field.
Jim, what did you see from Caleb Williams today? 22 of 37 for 212 yards, a touchdown and 1 interception. Jim, you got us? No? Maybe so? No? Think we may be.
Did we lose Jim on that one?
We lost Jim.
We'll get back to Jim in just a moment. But Chris, your thoughts on Caleb Williams today?
Yeah, I think this was one of those instances where you see a young quarterback that's still getting his legs under him, especially with the new coaching staff and this new offense. He had a lot of pressure, especially after last week, where he had a career game, looked great against the Cowboys, but on the road with everything that's going up against him. Obviously, I think there's a lot of parts of the offense that struggled to sustain success, and I think you can go back to that 3rd down play where it was near the red zone where they had a bad snap that goes down 20 yards, and there's a lot of stuff that wasn't his fault that kind of threw him out of rhythm, but there were a lot of throws like you talk about, Jim mentioned it too, where his interception, where that pass got batted up, and that was a really great play by Maxx Crosby, but we don't really know where he was going with that football, and I think that's something that he's going to break down after the game. But I think specifically you look to other plays too. There was a moment where he threw across his body, and I mean, like, you talk about no-nos in the NFL, that's one of the main no-nos. Just don't
tell Cam Ward that.
I mean, that was a Brett Favre-esque type play. I'm like, oh, that looks familiar, but that's one of those things where you just don't do, and we're starting to see that in real time. But I also saw a coach that really tried his best to get something going when nothing was working. You talk about the fake flea flicker. You talk about Ben Johnson's
fake
own
flea flicker with a face mask on a running back.
That was tough. That was
Did
tough.
not have that on my bingo card.
That was tough. That was not on the bingo card, Uno card, whatever other roulette you want to do.
Flicker with a face mask on a running back.
I also didn't have the Bears edition of the stumble bum going on too.
Yeah, that didn't work. That didn't work.
That did not work, by the way.
But this is a coach that tried to he go right into his bag to try to get Caleb Williams something, to try to make something work. Last year it was the actual flea flicker. This week it was Caleb. Hey, in the second half, let's get in rhythm. Let's stay in rhythm, because once he was within rhythm, you saw him sustain drives, score touchdowns. Again, 4 straight weeks with a touchdown to Roma Dunze.
Yep.
You're starting to see these things click, and I think with Caleb, was it a perfect game? By far, no. But I think we're starting to see the success being sustained when the offense can keep out of the murky penalties and put themselves behind the sticks. And I think that was impressive to me, especially when you give him the ball and say, go win the game. He did.
And to that point, I think that is what we want to see out of our quarterback. In the second half of this game, you saw a quarterback who still went through multiple penalties on that same drive, right? Still ended up going through Maxx Crosby living in his kitchen, essentially, right? And then all of a sudden, you see Caleb go, I'm just going to make a play that puts us in a position to go down here and get points. I'm going to extend this drive. I'm going to make even the pass to Cole Kmet, right? I understand Ben Johnson doesn't want Caleb Williams to play Superman. But there's times when your number 1 overall pick has to be Superman. And when you got Lex Luthor standing on the other side with all the answers, sometimes you need a little Superman. And I think in the second half of this game, you saw Caleb Williams go play a little Superman.
I mean, I keep going back to the one thing that his high school head coach told me the day before the Bears, this was the day before the Bears talked to him, or he took the podium at the NFL Combine, which is that if you have Caleb Williams on your team, you have a chance to win. How many times have we seen that last year when they had a chance? How many times did it actually come through? This is the year where it's starting to come through.
We got to talk about what do you guys think the locker room speech was like? Because they came out of the second half, Tyreek Stevenson, the interception, they capitalized, finally found the end zone. But by the way, Ben Johnson, what were we calling it? Resting Ben face?
Resting Ben face, yeah.
You know, same facial expression. But what do you think it was like in the locker room there?
Listen, I would assume that Ben Johnson is saying, why are we missing these opportunities? Why are we shooting ourselves in the foot? If we were losing the game because the Raiders defense was truly just dominating us, I think we're having a different conversation in the first half, right? You're literally just being shut down. I thought in the first half you had a team that continued to make mistakes very similar to what we saw in the Vikings game, very similar to what we saw in the Detroit game. Hey, every time something good is going to happen, guess what? That yellow flag is going to come out. And I think, to me, that's the biggest thing that they have to figure out as they head into this bye. But again, like I said, right, Ben Johnson in the locker room probably was just stop hurting ourselves and we can go win this football game. Thought you saw not a much cleaner second half, but a clean enough second half to beat a Vegas team that most of us expected the Bears to go in there and put a win on.
Clean enough second half to win this game. Again, a win is a win. They head into the bye week 2-2. We got to take a break, but stick with us because we got to talk about this run game, the run defense. We got a lot more to talk about here on After the Whistle. 25-24. Let's listen in on Ben Johnson.
Came out of that game pretty clean. There really was nobody of note that didn't finish the game. We're in good shape there. Man, I'm proud of our guys. They came through for us. We're building something special here, and I think they're feeling it. Just the belief they have in each other, the belief they have in this coaching staff. I thought it really shone through. This is a huge win for our team. Finding a way in the fourth quarter to come out on top. I just thought that was outstanding for us. So proud of our guys, proud of the locker room. I know it's an ugly game at times. I thought I'd give a lot of credit to the Raiders. They played their tails off, which we knew they would. Coach Carroll's such a good coach, and they have so many good players on their side that it was going to be a dogfight. And they were desperate for a win, and we were desperate for a win as well. And, it came down right to the wire, just like we thought it might. And so, like I said, that's a huge character win for our team, and I just love it for them. Open it up.
For Josh Blackwell, as you've gotten to know him, what's it going to say about him to make that play?
Yeah, man, he came through for us right when we needed it, and I'm listening on the headset, and Coach Hightower, who does just such an incredible job with our special teams unit in all those phases, he's kind of narrating it in real time, and he's like, yeah, Blackwell's going to get this one for us. He's going to come through, and sure enough, it came to light just like he thought, and so. Man, I was so proud of him. He's a guy that not only is a key cog of what we do on special teams, but a key contributor there as a backup in our DB room, and that was huge for him.
You mentioned this sloppy game, talk about some of the penalties and negative yardage. How did you kind of balance almost your own emotions and then obviously the team's emotions as you weathered all of that? Yeah,
it's easy to get frustrated, but we don't panic. We just don't. It's not who we are, and that's not what we do. And so, we have a 3-and-out to start the game, I believe, on offense, and defense comes through for us, and they end up with 4 turnovers on the day, and we're not able to capitalize on those turnovers to the extent that we'd like to. I could see where either side of the ball would get really frustrated. I could see where the defense would get frustrated with the offense, and the offense frustrated with ourselves. And, that didn't happen. Everybody stayed the course. No one panicked whatsoever. I thought we came in at halftime. We hit that reset button. That's what we talked about. Take a deep breath, and let's come out and play 30 minutes and find a way to win.
What impressed you most about the game winning drive?
Oh, shoot. Well, I can't remember play by play, to be honest with you, but I remember talking to Caleb before he took the field, and I said, "This is what you're built for. These are the moments that he thrives in the most." I think that's really been the story of his life, to be honest with you, and I know he came through for us in a big way. That was a heck of a pass rush. We knew what 98 was capable of, and then the rest of those guys are really hard blocks as well. And so for us to look up, and we only had 1 sack, it certainly felt a lot worse than that because Caleb was having to elude a lot and continue to evade that rush. And so, he found a way. The playmakers found a way. Our O-line found a way to hold on there for us to get a touchdown when we needed it the most.
It was tough sliding through the run game most of the game, but on 3rd and 4 there at the end to call on Swift. What went into that decision to call that? I mean, I'm sure it's four-down territory, but to trust Swift, to trust your guys in that moment.
Yeah, it's a hard one to answer right now, to be honest with you. I just, in the moment, it's just what you're feeling, what your gut's telling you is going to work. And so my gut was probably wrong a lot of the night. So it was good to see it come through, and really it's a credit to those guys. I mean, they know we get down there inside the 5. That's what we want to do. We want to be able to run it inside the 10-yard line, and I think they came through for us. It's exactly what you saw on tape. Whether in college or the first 3 games this year, he's so compact that you have to hit him a certain way to bring him down. It's really hard for one individual to bring him down, and I thought you saw that time and time again where arm tackles, they're not going to do it. It's going to take a swarming mentality by the entire defense, and if it is just one man, you got to hit him just right to bring him to the ground. So we had a plan to look to contain him, and he got after us pretty good. Yeah, I thought that O-line for them, they came out guns a-blazing as well.
What do you think about the atmosphere inside Allegiant Stadium? It seemed like a lot of Bears fans really.
Yeah, it's my first time here in Allegiant, and pretty cool to see the Bears fans travel like they did. It's the appeal of Vegas might have had something to do with it, but yeah, I'd love for that to happen every away game we have going forward.
What went into the offensive tackle switch you guys made?
Yeah, we knew going into the game that Ozzie was likely to get some snaps for us. He's a guy that just keeps getting better each and every week, and so we were just at the point where we weren't doing a whole lot on offense, and we felt like that might give us a little spark and ignite us a little bit on offense there.
Speaking of the spark, what was it like getting 4 turnovers second straight game, 3 interceptions second straight game? They're not easy interceptions, there's a couple of them were diving on.
I know. Golly, we talked about it. We talked about it last night, how we were going to need to get some turnovers on the road here to get our first road win, and those guys came through. Byard came through with 2 of them. I thought Tyreek had one of the more athletic plays I've seen. The way he bounced up after that, I thought that was incredible. And then, that we don't win that game without those turnovers. Just the way that they were able to move the ball, and then like I said, had we been able on offense to capitalize on that a little bit more, it wouldn't have come down to the wire like that. But 1 for 4 in the red zone for us on offense, it's not gonna win you a whole lot of games.
I'm sorry if you already answered this, but
That's Bears head coach Ben Johnson there. Tina Nguyen, Pat the designer, Chris Krasinski here with you on After the Whistle. I mean, Ben saying it's ugly at times. They went into the locker room, hit the reset button, took a deep breath, and he called this a high character win. We got to talk about Jeanty.
Yeah.
Because he was such a huge factor in this game for the Raiders, but it exposed even more that this Bears run defense, it's a struggle. They need some help. It's a problem, to say the least.
Yeah, listen, it's been an issue the entire season. It's nothing new. It's something we thought would be an issue going into today's game with Grady Jarrett out. And I think we kind of went into this game going, as many Bears fans do, this is a get-right game for Jeanty. That's usually what teams try to use us for. And I thought that, listen, as much as as difficult as Jeanty was to bring down today, and as well as he ran the football, I thought that when you got down to the nitty-gritty of it in those final moments of the half where it sets them up for a 55-yard field goal instead of a 53-yard field goal, right? Like, those are the stops that you needed to see this Bears defense get, and they were able to get some of those. I think even some of the takeaways that you saw today, as Ben Johnson mentioned there, right? Like, you don't win this game without those. So was it a phenomenal game? No. Are you heading into the bye week going, hey, we got an issue here on the run defense? I definitely think you are, and I think team's goal moving forward is going to be attack this Bears team on the ground because they can't stop us. But that's why having this early bye, as Ben Johnson has talked about so often, is going to be important for us.
One of the main concerns for the Raiders these first few weeks of the season has been, can Jeanty get going? Because their O-line is not good. But today, man, he ran 21 carries for 138 yards. Chris?
I mean, guys, we talked about Maxx Crosby having his 81 COVID game, but I mean, like, there's a reason that Jeanty was a generational running back talent coming out of Boise State. There's a reason that he should have won the Heisman Trophy but there's a reason why this guy ran for 200 yards a ton. There's a reason why he's generational. We saw it today. We talk about the get-right part of the Bears defense, that kind of stuff. Sure, you could say that there's a modicum of truth to that, sure, but there's also a part of it, too, where this is just a guy that was making plays. Yeah. There was just a guy that was so good at what he does, finally being like, oh, cool, this is how to do it at the NFL level. Sure, the Raiders' offensive line leaves a little bit to be desired. Sure, the Bears' defensive line needed a lot to be desired, too, in the second level. Also struggled a little bit. You talk about his touchdown run. You saw Tremaine Edmonds go over a block instead of under it to try and just slow him down. Kevin Byard couldn't make that tackle, but this is just a guy making plays. You have to find ways to survive when he makes those plays. And I mean, it wasn't even just that 64-yard touchdown run. He was busting 10, 12-yard chunks at a time where he was just going through and eating in the middle. But again, that's something you go back and say, we're not facing Jeanty every single week, guys. Yeah. Right. Especially when you go into the next game against the Commanders in 2 weeks where the Bears can get a little bit healthier on the defensive line, and they're not going to be facing Austin Eckler. They're going to be facing Bill, and they're going to be facing Chris Rodriguez, Jeremy McNichols, where like you get those
running
guys,
back by committee.
Running back by committee, where that's not Jeanty. And I think you can take solace in the fact that, hey, They did their job. They took care of business, but you got to shore up the run defense a little bit.
You guys know that meme? I think it's the high school football player. That's like, I ain't gonna lie. They had us in the first.
They had us in the first half. They did. But you know what? We had DeAndre Swift, dog. Had Caleb Williams, dog. We had DJ Moore,
Kevin
dog.
Byard, dog.
Kevin Byard, dog.
My dog of the game, though, Tyreek Stevenson.
Tyreek Stevenson, dog.
Yes.
You want to talk about a guy that keeps getting that keeps just getting the brunt of it all, and people want to point out the first couple games, perfect passer rating when you go to Tyreek.
No, it wasn't. It was bad.
It was bad.
He's bounced back.
But when you go up against a guy like Geno Smith, who is putting the ball in harm's way, I keep going back to last year where I had a conversation with Terrell Smith after the Packers game where he had that interception on the goal line against Jordan Love. I said, what did you see? He's like, look, that was not saying we expect him to put the ball in harm's way, but we were ready when he did.
Yeah.
This was a guy that was ready when Geno Smith was putting the ball in harm's way. But you saw that interception he had coming out of halftime where he's extending. That's an athletic play. That's a play a starting quarterback makes, and this is a guy that's starting to revitalize and rejuvenate this season where, he got back at, had us in the first couple games, not gonna lie, but he's back on track, and I'm really looking forward to see how he bounces back coming out of the bye week where we're expecting them to have Kyler Gordon to go with him as well.
The energy that Pat just gave us with that dog.
You bring the Shamar Turner out of that too.
Yeah, can we get the video of Shamar Turner just barking at Tyler Booker?
Oh my God.
I was so thrown off.
All right. We got to take a break here on After the Whistle. Stay with us. What is that, week 6? Yep, it is Monday Night Football against the Commanders. Then the Bears are back at home against the Saints, hit the road against the Ravens and Bengals there. And then they've got a date with the Giants here at Soldier Field. Guys, we've only got a few seconds here in this in our show, but let's talk about real quick this run game. What can they do to fix it?
Listen, I think right now as you head into the bye, you may be looking at a new name that's in the building. 4 carries today, 18 yards for Kyle Monangai. Can he give you a little bit more consistency there? Or can you unlock DeAndre Swift? For the most part, this offensive line has done an okay job run blocking this year, so we'll see what the option's going to be there.
Chris, what is the face?
Solution's not in the building.
Ooh.
Not in the building.
I'm sorry, the solution's not, but the solution is in South Bend, Indiana, Jeremiah Love. I will tell you that right now. You want to talk about what the Bears did this offseason? They got the tight end that Ben Johnson wanted. Next offseason is about getting him the running back that Ben Johnson wants. It's got to be Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame. There's no other guy I can see out there that's doing what he's doing that can give you what he needs.
All right, and on that note, thank you for hanging out with us here on After the Whistle. For